I wanted to watch the video on the new Framework laptop. So, Framework recently announced a bunch of new hardware. So here we have the Framework laptop. I don't think it's in this video, but we also have this as well. So the new laptop, the new wireless keyboard, which I think is really cool. Not something you'd really use on the on your desktop, but this is basically a replacement for the Logitech K400, which didn't they discontinue the K400? Isn't that like why people are angry? Logitech K400. Maybe not. Maybe people are lying to me. No, people are lying to me. Someone said they discontinued it. But I bet it doesn't support inserting an internal Blu-ray reader. What? Oh, the thing. Yeah. Oculink Dev Kit. PCIe expansion stuff. A laptop bag. Wow, that's so cool. I mainly want to talk about the new laptop though, which looks pretty sick. So let us
Framework laptop computer. This
check
is
it
the
out.
Framework Laptop 13. We introduced it in 2021 as a fully upgradable, long-lasting computer, and we've shipped 7 generations and a colossal number of units out into the world. So 5 years
I'm curious what the actual number is. Like how many devices they have sold.
There's a big question. Do we need to do a blank slate redesign to meet the needs of 2026 and beyond? Or do we keep updating the design we have to continue to deliver on generational upgradability? It turns out we can do both. This is the Framework Laptop 13 Pro. It's a complete ground-up redesign of the product, and it's still backwards and forwards compatible with the entire lineup of Framework.
That's actually fucking crazy. That is insane.
Laptop 13. That means it's entirely repairable, upgradable, and customizable, and it's still a thin, light, high-performance 13.5-inch notebook. That makes it ideal for developers, Linux users, DIYers, and even just general productivity. We captured a ton of learnings over 7 generations. We read through literally thousands of reviews, surveys, and comments. We analyzed 5 years of repair data, quality reports, and RMAs.
Has it been that long? Wait, really? When did Framework start? 2021. What the fuck? Oh my god, where did the last fucking 5 years go, man? Oh my god! We're getting so fucking old. The CNC body and battery alone is an amazing upgrade.
All of the feedback that you have to make this the product that you want from us. We called it Pro for a reason. To knock off Apple. Not actually. It's actually because...
You know what? I like Narav. I do like Narav. Fun thing. Where is it? Look at this. He follows me on Twitter. Wow. Anyway,
as it's a giant step up. It's got a full CNC aluminum chassis.
Okay.
With this awesome refined ID and structure. We actually made an entirely custom...
Oh yeah, it's gonna be expensive. I think that's the main problem with anything. It's gonna be fucking cool, but anything with RAM in it is gonna fucking cost a lot.
Custom display with touch support. Refined ID and structure. We actually made an entirely custom display with touch support.
I don't really care much about touch displays. I know there's some people out there that are like, ooh, touch laptop, touch laptop, touch laptop. That's so cool. I don't give a shit. I know for some it's like a big selling and they really like... It's never been something I've really wanted.
It has a haptic touchpad. It's got excellent Linux compatibility right out of the box.
I know they have a Linux guy. They have, I assume he's still there. Matt Hartley. Matt Hartley? Sorry, is that the guy? Am I getting his name wrong? Framework. Matt Hartley. Is that the guy? Yeah. Yeah, Linux support lead Matt Hartley. The fact that they are talking about Linux in the marketing material just immediately makes me happy. Like, yeah, you can run Linux on the regular framework, and they have a Linux support guy. Yeah, that's cool. But actually talking about Linux in your marketing material, you actually are caring about it and wanting to make sure it's good.
And it has what you asked for most of all.
Okay.
A massive improvement in battery life.
Okay.
Our internal prompt for this product was actually, how do we build the MacBook Pro for Linux users?
Keep talking shit about the MacBook. I love it.
We heard you over and over and over again. You want MacBook Pro level battery life,
okay,
a machine that actually respects your rights. We figured out how to deliver on that. We've more than doubled battery life generation over generation. We had around...
Anytime look, as much as I might like framework, anytime a marketing person talks about, we have X amount improved battery, I don't believe it until I see real world testing. Only real world testing will tell you actual battery performance. Look, he might be entirely honest, but it's always going to be, okay, well, what is the situation? What kind of load? What operating system are you running? All of this sort of stuff.
8 hours of Netflix 4K streaming on our last generation Framework Laptop 13. Now we've got over 20 hours. That's actually longer than a MacBook Pro M5 for this
I'll believe that when I see it.
Use case. And we're seeing massive improvements across every use case we test. Web browsing, YouTube streaming, standby, and more. To pull this off, our battery now has 74 watt-hour capacity. That's 22% higher than our last generation and 35% higher than our original.
Okay.
We increased energy density to 850 watt-hours per liter, and we actually also increased the physical size of the pack. That's a great improvement in battery capacity, but the even bigger jump in battery life comes from efficiency.
He says that exact thing in his live streams. We'll post all the tests so you can replicate. Hey, if he said that, fucking let's go. If that's what you're actually going to do, you're going to be that honest and that transparent about your battery testing, sure, let's see it. I will believe that when I see it, and if it is true, great. Like, I don't want to be negative about it, right? I don't want to be like, oh, well, it might be bad, blah, blah. No, the reason why I'm bothered by whenever anyone talks about battery life or performance or anything like that is everybody is lying. So if somebody is going to be honest, like, you can kind of understand why I'm immediately hesitant about what they're saying. I don't know if they have a board with a really slow CPU, but they probably have like an i3 you can chuck in there.
The improvements all throughout the system. We have Intel to thank for the biggest chunk of this. We're bringing in Intel's new Core Ultra Series 3 processors, codenamed Panther Lake, which are just insanely efficient.
Okay.
This is an incredibly cool, heterogeneous tiled architecture that Intel has brought in this CPU generation to deliver on both efficiency and performance. The CPU tile is on Intel's new 18A process node, which is just super efficient. The Core Ultra X7 and X9 versions have 3 tiers of cores, 4 performance cores, 8 efficient cores, and 4 low power efficient cores.
We can just find... Yeah, here we go. I obviously he's gonna talk it up, but like, there are a lot of rumors about Intel moving away from the whole P-core, E-core thing because it's a shit architecture.
Those LPE cores are especially interesting. On workloads like video streaming that can drop onto just those, the battery life goes through the roof. This tile here is the GPU tile.
It's a fine architecture. The main problem with it is making sure the correct load is using the correct CPU cores.
Which is on either Intel's 3 or TSMC's 3E process node. The X7 and X9 both have awesome GPU performance using 12 Xe3 cores. That means that a Framework Laptop 13 Pro is actually powerful enough to run full AAA games like Cyberpunk at playable settings. This third tile here.
Okay. I want to see what your playable settings are for that. Nah. I want to see those testing results as well, and that testing methodology.
Here is the I/O tile. That's on an Intel 6 node, and it brings stuff like 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports, which is actually what we route out to the 4 expansion cards. Very, very cool and innovative design by Intel this generation, and it's easily their biggest leap in the 5 years since they launched 11th gen Intel Core. The generational improvements don't just come from the processor, they come from how we used it. When we integrated this into our mainboard, we focused on performance, but of course, also on upgradability. That includes the memory. Framework Laptop 13 Pro is one of the first laptops in the market to ship with LPCAMM2. This is an entirely new memory module format that enables, for the first time...
Let's find out what they price at. That's I've not heard of this memory format. Low power compression attached memory module. Can I even buy this right now? That is much cheaper than I would have expected. Wait, what the fuck? I'm assuming there's just no... you know what? I'm assuming the reason why it's somewhat reasonably priced is basically nothing uses it. So there is a supply of it, but there's a supply for the very few devices that use it. So that, what was that? That was 64 gigabytes for only like 400 Australian? That's fucking crazy.
LPDDR.
They also said they want to increase the price once they've made an order.
To be modular and upgradable. We needed to move to LPDDR5X to get the massive improvements in power efficiency, but we couldn't go backwards from the 13 and solder the memory down. LPCAMM2 gives us both upgradability and efficiency. It connects into the mainboard using this fancy high-density interpose ability.
What the fuck?
Backwards from the 13 and solder the memory.
Are those are not... Are those pins? Oh. Those are not pads, those are pins, aren't they? Like, there's a lot, like, there's not that many pins, but that's a concerning... That's a concerning... a concerning idea. Brodie hasn't heard of LPCAMM? No, I haven't. This is the first time I'm seeing it. It's like a CPU socket for RAM. It seems like it's pretty easy to break. I don't look at the laptop space. I've not looked at the laptop space in ages.
LPCAMM2 gives us both upgradability and efficiency. It connects...
It's even on some desktop motherboards. I've never seen it on a desktop. Is it just an Intel tech right now?
...into the mainboard using this fancy high-density interposer and gets compressed down into place with a shielding plate that actually also functions as a heat spreader. You can get up to 64 gigabytes of memory capacity with these Micron modules, and we expect to see even higher density modules coming in the future. In addition to LPCAMM2 support, Core Ultra Series 3 brings PCIe Gen 5 SSD support for the first time
Wow.
for a Framework product. That means you can get around 14,000 megabytes per second.
That's a lot of megabytes.
Throughput. That's about double what the last generation could get. On the Wi-Fi front, we've moved to Intel's new BE211 radio, which is also really power efficient and supports Wi-Fi 7. We've re-optimized the antenna for maximum throughput too. Most importantly, this is the same mainboard form factor we've used on every generation of Framework Laptop 13. That means you can take this new mainboard with the great new CPU, memory, storage, and Wi-Fi, and you can actually drop it into the Framework Laptop 13 you already own.
That's actually the craziest part. So if you don't want to buy, if you don't care about the new shell and the new screen, and you already have a framework, you can just buy the new board. And then, man, Framework's such a fucking crazy company, man. This is not what you do in the laptop space. Nobody else does this. Like, yeah, there's repairable laptops and other, like, yeah, there's some stuff like that. But the idea of, we're just gonna use the same board form factor, you can just keep using your old framework. Go right ahead. What? You can buy, yeah, I did hear that you can just buy the touchscreen. If you don't care about the new board, you just want the touchscreen, you can just buy the touchscreen and stick it in the old framework as well, which is also fucking sick.
We have a whole video on the upgrade path that you can find on our YouTube channel. In addition to the Intel Core Ultra Series,
there will have to come a point where there is a board redesign. Like, that has to happen eventually, surely. But I'm curious to see how long they can keep it up. I don't know if they've talked about, like, how long they want to keep this. I'm sure they want to keep the board design as long as possible, but eventually something has to change, right?
3. We also have new versions of Pro with our earlier AMD Ryzen AI 300 series mainboards. That means when you're ordering, you can choose between Intel or AMD in this new great chassis. One other major improvement on Pro is the new display. This is the first fully custom panel we've ever built. We really mean it when we say this product is a ground-up redesign. That means we got to optimize everything for the core use cases we know all of you are spending your time on. We've designed this with our partner CSOT to be the optimal high-efficiency productivity and coding display. Just like before, this is a 13.5-inch diagonal in a 3:2 aspect ratio. That results in a lot of screen real estate.
The 3:2 aspect ratio, I think, is actually kind of neat. A lot of people have been shilling this. A lot of people have been shilling this aspect ratio as of late. It does, it's all a matter, like, I don't have a framework, but it is all a matter of price, right?
In a pretty small system size. It's still 2880 by 1920 resolution, which makes it especially good for 2:1 scaling, especially in Linux. What's new is that we've really cranked up the brightness and the contrast. We went with an LTPS LCD to get the best power efficiency we could.
LTPS.
We're getting much better performance out of it than is typical in an LCD, including our last generation one. This goes up to 700 nit brightness. It also has a pretty novel anti-glare polarizer with a matte surface that gives it much higher contrast, especially in bright ambient lighting. Natively, it's 1800:1 contrast, and we kept 100% sRGB color space to optimize for power efficiency. This time, though, we have per panel calibration for color accuracy. We also have 30 Hz to 120 Hz variable refresh rate, which is great both for efficiency and for making the experience really smooth. And finally, we got rid of those rounded corners from the last generation. There is one other big change that many of you have been asking for a long time. This is actually a touch screen.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
When we started building Framework Laptop 12 with touch support, we knew we wanted to bring it to 13.2. We did that here with an in-cell touch design that keeps it...
Wait, sorry.
13.2. We did that here with an in-cell touch...
What? He wanted to not say incel, but no matter how you try to say that, it's gonna sound like you're saying incel.
Design that keeps the panel thin and allows us
Incel
to not need
designed.
additional. Above the display, we have the same 1080p webcam module as the last generation, and that is actually just about the only part of this product.
Might be useful for digital artists. I don't know if this... I don't think you can tablet mode it. I think that... Can't you tablet mode the... Framework 12-inch. Yeah, you can tablet mode the 12-inch. I don't really see the point of a touchscreen if you can't... If it's not a convertible. A convertible laptop, absolutely the touchscreen makes sense. But if it's not, personally, I think it's a gimmick if it's not. I know some people love their touchscreen laptops. It just doesn't make any sense to me, right? This is useful. This right here is useful, being able to do this. But again, I'm not the kind of person who cares about touchscreen laptops in the first place. Maybe there's something I'm missing.
That we haven't changed. Let's take a look at the outside of this. Obviously...
Yeah, it's the same... It's basically the same shell as the original Framework 13, so it wouldn't be convertible. Now, could you make it convertible? There's probably some mod you can do to it and make it convertible. But it's not like that out of the box.
This looks a little different from before. Our default color scheme is what we call graphite, which is a dark anodized aluminum. The chassis is now fully CNC aluminum. That means we're taking extruded blocks of 6000 series aluminum and milling them to shape before anodizing them. That means that the Pro is extremely rigid and has much tighter tolerances than the original 13 chassis. This idea really is a nice refinement over the earlier generations. Even though the overall dimensions are the same, meaning this is still less than 16 millimeters thick, we were able to adjust the geometry to increase the size of the battery. The weight is now 1.4 kilograms, which is just slightly higher than...
Wait. I'm assuming the battery won't fit in the original framework then. That's the way it sounded to me.
Less than 16 millimeters thick, we were able to adjust the geometry to increase the size of the battery.
Yeah, so the board fits in the original, but the new battery, I'm assuming, doesn't. I might be misunderstanding there, but that's what that sounds like to me.
The weight is now 1.4 kilograms, which is just slightly higher than the last 13 because of that larger battery. We also have...
Batteries, the only thing isn't backwards compatible? Okay, right.
Have a number of smaller improvements all across the system, like better structure around the hinges, and an easier to use expansion card latch.
That's cool.
In addition to graphite, we also have the traditional...
When I first saw the framework being announced, I thought the expansion slot thing was kind of dumb. But as I've seen more people use them, as I've seen more stuff made for them, I kind of get it.
Silver colorway available that you can use to upgrade your existing Framework Laptop 13.
What was that?
An easier to use expansion card latch. In addition to graphite, we also have the traditional silver colorway available that you can use to upgrade your existing Framework Laptop 13.
Okay.
You can actually bring any previous generation of Framework Laptop 13 mainboard, drop it into the new chassis, and get access to that new battery. Moving over to the input area, we have...
So if you're fine with the performance, you just want more battery life, you can do that as well. Okay.
Have a new, larger touchpad, and it's actually haptic.
That is a fucking big touch... Wait, sorry.
We have a...
Holy, that is a big touchpad. That is one of the things I'm happy has changed on laptops. I remember when I got my first laptop, it had this fucking little piddly, stupid touchpad. It felt awful to use. This is something that Apple basically forced everyone to do. It's like, guys, why make these laptops that are fucking disgusting to use?
A new, larger touchpad, and it's actually haptic. We put a ton of work into tuning this with our partners Lighton and Boreas. We know the golden standard in the space is the MacBook Pro. No PC maker has ever been able to catch up. We're working to make this the best feeling Windows and Linux touchpad on the market.
Okay.
It really was the last part of the input story that we wanted to
fuck BSD.
We really are aiming to achieve that. We have the same great keyboard key structure as before, with that great 1.5mm key travel. And because the input cover now has a stiffer CNC structure, the overall key feel actually is slightly improved too. One thing that is also new here is that in addition to the huge range of languages we offer, we've introduced some awesome looking keyboard colorways that you can choose from. This is gray and orange.
I personally like the gray and orange one.
We've introduced some awesome looking keyboard colorways that you can choose from.
Now, I'm not going to say...
We've introduced some awesome looking keyboard colorways that you can choose from.
I'm not going to say for certain, but this feels like a, this feels like Linus was involved here. I know Linus has like a big investment in framework. This feels like this feels like a Linus involvement. I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe they just like the orange design. Could just be a coincidence. This feels like Linus though, especially with the gray as well. This is like 100% LTT color scheme. I'd rather have physical clicky mouse buttons on my touchpad. I know there's people like that. You are the extreme minority. I understand that no one cares about you and no one gives you guys any respect, but that's just we've moved way past that. I thought it looked retro with gray. I think call it whatever you want. I think it looks good. One thing I will say,
we've introduced some awesome looking.
I'm not a fan of their arrow keys. Now, do I use the arrow keys that much? Not really. Of the laptop arrow key formats, this is my least favorite.
Keyboard colorways that you can choose from. This is gray and orange. I actually personally love the lavender one. We also have the same great fingerprint reader as before, and that has great out-of-the-box support in Linux.
Lovely.
Onto the speakers. We're just going through the greatest hits of customer and reviewer feedback here. We know that in our last generation, the speakers weren't quite as loud or as full-sounding as you wanted them to be. So we have an entire...
Frankly, I don't really care about laptop speakers. Most of the... if I want good audio, I'm going to wear headphones. If I... half the time I'm watching videos on my fucking phone. So I don't really... As long as the audio functions, for me, it's not a big deal.
Entirely new speaker module that's now side-ported out of the chassis to be able to use it better on different surfaces or on your lap. More importantly, though...
If the speakers are not on the front, there's no point even talking about them, frankly.
On the Intel version of Pro, we worked with Intel and Dolby, and we landed a full Dolby Atmos tuning. Their algorithms massively improve the audio experience. Linux is a huge part of why many of you are interested in our product.
And you went with Ubuntu. Ugh.
That brings us back to our initial prompt. How do we build the MacBook Pro for Linux users? We always design for Linux right from the start. That means component selection for Linux compatibility, support for firmware updates through LVFS, and contributing patches upstream where needed. And we've already sent development units of Framework Laptop 13 Pro to maintainers and developers across a huge range of distros.
I know that he knows. We both know. I've spoken to him about... you can see the fear in the man's eyes talking about this topic. Among the many things it was sent to, there was one that created a fun little drama.
Like Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch Linux, and more.
Yeah, the and more part. You know, we're not gonna talk about the and more part again.
Across a huge range of distros, like Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch Linux, and more. For the first time, we also have pre-built...
It never actually mattered. None of the people that were complaining ever were gonna buy Framework. Maybe like 3. It was just a lot of people that never cared about Framework. But, Yeah. He doesn't want to start another drama.
Versions of Framework Laptop 13 Pro with Ubuntu preloaded. We partnered with Canonical to make this our first Ubuntu certified product. That means you don't have to be a DIYer, and you get guaranteed support right out of the box.
Okay.
This is especially ideal for businesses deploying Linux machines internally. As always, we have both DIY and pre-built versions available. In addition to the Ubuntu pre-builts, of course, we've got Windows 11.
Okay.
I know that a lot of businesses are looking for that too. On the DIY path, you can configure the product more deeply and bring your own memory, storage, and
personally, like, obviously, being a Linux user myself, I don't really care about being able to buy a device running Linux. However, it is good to have more devices out there with Linux pre-installed, because that is how you get regular people using Linux, right? Most people are not installing an operating system, so being able to buy it with Ubuntu is just massive deal. What was the drama? I'm not aware of it. Among a list of many places it was sent to, there was a laptop sent to both Amaki and Hyperland as well. The Hyperland one, people got over quickly, but a lot of people in the Mastodon part of Linux really don't like DHH, and that created like a fucking thread on the framework forums that was like 2,000 comments long.
Operating system. And we've got one other new thing, which is that to go along with that big new battery.
Oh yeah, there are also GNOME people that were there was this weird thing where, and you'll notice if you go look at who, Framework actually has a list of the people they donate to. You'll notice that GNOME is not on that list any longer. A bunch of GNOME people also got angry because they got donated to, because if they're being donated to and Amaki is being donated to, that means they're affiliated with DHH. Like that, it was such a stupid drama. It was... You'll notice, again, you'll notice that KDE is being supported, but GNOME isn't, and there's a good reason for that.
We've got a high-efficiency 100-watt GAN power adapter.
Wow.
That's just a little bit bigger than our previous generation one. And, as always, we include a screwdriver right in the box.
That's nice.
Let's bring this back to the original question. How do we build the MacBook Pro for Linux users? Or maybe, if we put it a little differently, what does it take to build the best possible laptop for a power user or a software developer?
Rosie never mentioned the ThinkPad. Here's the thing, right? ThinkPads don't have... Okay, here's a question. Are you in your mid-20s or later? Because I think that the ThinkPad meme has kind of died down a lot. ThinkPads are not really the device that like mainstream developers talk about anymore. Yes, there is a lot of ThinkPad usage, but most of it is because they happen to buy, what are they, ThinkStations? Is that the desktop? So like a company will buy a bunch of ThinkStations, they also buy a bunch of ThinkPads because they get a deal on them. When we are talking about mainstream artists, mainstream developers, mainstream people, the ThinkPad, the ThinkPad doesn't matter. The MacBook Pro is the device people compare everything to. They should add the nipple on the frameworks. If they released a keyboard with a nipple, that would be hilarious. That actually would be a massive, just easy W.
For the last few years, the default answer actually has been MacBook Pro. There really is a lot to like there, but there's a lot that gets in the way too. We've seen an increasing number of developers moving from Macs to Framework Laptop 13 over the last 5 years. And they're coming for the upgradability, the performance, the keyboard, but they're especially coming for the idea that you can own your own computer and do what you want with it, including having an ideal Linux experience. With Framework Laptop 13 Pro,
And I think, here's the thing, right? It's a much easier sell to sell a good laptop to a Windows user than it is to sell a good lap to a Mac user. Because for a Mac user, they don't just want a good laptop, right? The good laptop it's one part of it. But the experience, like the whole ecosystem experience to an Apple user is also really important. Selling to a fucking Windows user, it's like, okay, 99% of Windows laptops are just fucking garbage. So all you need to do, just don't do that, basically.
Done is narrow the gap on everything else. This really is a huge part of what I started this company for. To prove that repairability and upgradability doesn't mean compromising the core product experience. To prove that a product can actually get better over time instead of worse. We can't wait to see what you think of this, because ultimately, this is your laptop, not ours.
Now, there is a distinct lack of pricing mentioned. We don't actually know what it's going to cost. I don't think so. Framework Pro, unless something's happened since I saw it. Framework Pro pricing. Do we know? Do you have any idea? Oh, wait, maybe we do. Did this just come out? Or is this a rumor? Pre-built starting at $1,500. So we don't actually know what it's going. You can order them? Wait, you can? Sorry, okay, maybe I'm wrong then. Maybe we can. I thought the orders were not open yet. Framework Pro order. Configure now. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we can configure one. Are we going to get doxxed? Give me just one moment. I don't know if it's going to try to show my my country or not my country, my fucking postcode. Because some sites like to just auto check it for you. No, I think we're Gucci. Okay. Okay, so let's go pre-built. Starting at 2,500. This is Australian pricing as well, by the way. It costs you an extra $300 to put Windows on it. What the fuck is... How much does a Windows license cost? Store... No, that's fine. Okay. So that's 3,500. You know what? Actually not that crazy. Yes, we are in, like, gaming laptop pricing now, but not that crazy. Yeah, obviously, I went pre-built just to see how much it would cost. Is it... Wait, sorry. $200 for a Windows 11 Pro license. What? Okay, that's... Wait, sorry. Pre-built. Can you not buy the pre-built? Are they... They're not... Wait, they're not selling... Wait, what? They are not selling pre-built with the top-end chip. That's weird. Okay. Okay, I guess we just go DIY to max spec it then. Let's go... here we go. So, only DIY you can get the max spec version. 64 gigabytes of RAM, storage, 2 terabyte. Okay, there we go. That's what we're talking about. Okay. We don't need one. Okay. And that's plus an extra 3. It's about $6,000 Australian for the like fully specced out version. Yeah. But this you can get cheaper if you want to get. If you don't want to go PCIe 5, if you want to go to PCIe 4, you can get it down to $4,500. Expensive, but not as bad as I would have thought with the way a lot of pricing is right now.